Welcome back. A great personal brand is absolutely one of the biggest assets someone can have in business. A couple of major personal brands we can think of. Richard Branson comes to mind, the way that he was able to parlay his success with Virgin Records from records to airlines to a bank to a cell phone company. We've seen Elon Musk do this as he's gone from PayPal to Twitter to Tesla, not in that order, and now even into the political arena. So again and again, we see individuals building a great personal brand. Even Ryan Reynolds went from acting to, I think it's a gin company, to a soccer team. And landing that personal brand again and again can really build our businesses, can build our influence, our income. It really is something that's quite powerful to build. I was very, very lucky. About 1 year ago, I did an intensive training with literally an Emmy Award winning brand expert out of Los Angeles. And so in today's episode, I'm going to give you the number one tip he gave me that's helped him on his journey. And I think the way he talks about personal branding is very different than most so-called experts out there. And I think it's why it's so effective. Now, before we get into that, a quick update on some of the goals that we've got for 2025. Number one, sleep health has been something that has been my biggest weakness for 25 years. And so it's something I'm wanting to work on. Something that I put into place was getting some new blackout blinds installed. But as you can see, it was maybe not so successful when the installers came today. So who knows? We'll just see where that one goes. Secondly, I was continuing to work on my girlfriend's business with her. And so one thing that we're doing in her videography business, which is relatively new, is building some really powerful assets inside of her portfolio. You saw, it was yesterday's episode, I believe, or maybe the day before, I showed you a really powerful podcast format that she and I are working on. It's really kind of modeling the industry leading podcasts that are out there right now so that she'll be able to offer that. And she just needs a couple pieces first that she can put in her portfolio. And so we did some extra work on that this evening. During the day, close more business, which is really, really great. And then on some of my other goals, as you saw in the very first episode, my shoulder has not been going all that well. So I was at Generator Athlete Lab this evening. Generator is a place I've been going for years, great for athletic recovery. It's right here downtown Austin. If you're looking for a cold plunge, a sauna, Normatec stockings, or whatnot, it's a great place to go. All right, well, let's jam on personal branding. So personal branding oftentimes, at least in my mind, sat as like, what should I say on the internet? What should my LinkedIn profile look like? What should I post on Instagram, right? And to me, that's very understandable. I think that when I go all the way back into my training in marketing all those years ago, something that is a cornerstone is the idea of market message media. And it's really easy to look at someone who's succeeding with a lot of influence and say, well, what are they doing? And we might see that someone like Mark Cuban might be posting all the time on a particular platform, maybe Twitter, for example. And we might think, well, I better do what Mark does, right? Well, the thing is it's actually going about it backwards. It's really common when a new platform comes. I remember when Facebook ads first became a thing. I remember when YouTube first came about. That's a long time ago. And it was like, oh, I got to do YouTube, or I got to do Facebook ads. But here's the thing is we're actually doing it exactly backwards. So let's say, for example, you had a business where you were selling the step-through tubs that senior citizens use so that they can don't have to step over the edge, means they can stay home longer and save some money from being in a nursing home, have their independence, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you owned that step-through tub business and you said, well, hey, the latest and greatest thing is Facebook ads, let's go do that, you would immediately run into a new problem. And that problem would be, well, okay, what do we say? Like, I've hired the agency or I've learned how to do ads, but like, what do we say? So it's like, oh, well, I guess to answer that, we better figure out who we're talking to. And voila, now we're at the starting point. Oftentimes we as entrepreneurs want to go, what is my media? What media platform am I speaking to my people through? What am I going to say? Well, then who am I talking to? When in fact, the way we should go is who am I talking to? What do they need to hear? And what do I need to say? And then from there, where can I find them? So, for example, that step through tub example, if we were to say, well, Facebook ads is the hottest thing, we should go do that. The thing is like, I don't know how many senior citizens, it's more now, but maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, there weren't that many senior citizens on Facebook. Now maybe that's different, but 6, 7, 8 years ago, not so much. And so you might end up having the best message, but the wrong platform and end up just losing a bunch of money. What if we flipped it around though? What if we said audience first, who's the market, senior citizens, what's the message they need to hear? Message is maintain your independence, be able to stay home, don't be a burden on your children, like whatever that version of messages is. And then from there, what media, what's the best place we can find them? And maybe Facebook ads might work, but you know what would really work? A TV commercial during The Price is Right. So I think if we ask it in that sense, all of a sudden we start moving the right way around the marketing triangle. So with that little bit of intelligence in place, let's now think about a personal brand. I love, many experts have said this. Most recently, I heard Alex Hormozi say this about creating content. He said, who's your audience and how can you serve them? Who's your audience and how can you serve them? Who's your audience? How can you serve them? And to me, that on the surface, for me, that's like, oh, well, I mean, I own a company that hires executive assistants for entrepreneurs. So it's like, oh, entrepreneurs or attorneys or, accountants, right? And there is some value in that for sure. But I think there's a layer deeper below that where it's like, who are your people? And, it brings me back to when I was a touring drummer. And I remember being in a small town in Western Canada. And I looked out at the audience and it just hit me. Like, I love these human beings. They're my fellow Canadians, amazing people. Our economy couldn't keep moving forward without them. I'm so grateful that as my fellow Canadian, they're doing the hard work that they're doing here in the oil patch or whatnot. And at the same time, I was just like, I can very, 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 very much be with these people. And at the same time, I would say they're not quite my people. And I have family members that work there. It's just like, I don't get excited. I don't get invited to go on their like ATV trips. And likewise, they don't really feel comfortable at my white parties in downtown Austin. And of course, by white party, I mean like a Miami style, like wear white party. So that's okay. I mean, it takes all kinds. And for me, not my people doesn't mean wrong. It just means doesn't share the same interests, let's just say. So if we take this idea of market message match, it's who's my people and what's the message. It's less about reverse engineering. How am I trying to get to the attorneys or how am I trying to get to the accountants? And it's more like what's true for me. If I were to strip away my business, strip away the industry, strip away the titles that I have, who am I? And I think that Chris Doe, who's the branding expert I worked with from, he's in Los Angeles. He's an Emmy Award winning designer. He really said like, if I took away all your businesses, who are you and what do you stand for? And so through our work together, I really wrestled with that. And there was actually one pretty epic dinner that I had in Vancouver. I noticed Chris was teaching at a workshop up in Vancouver at a time when I was already going to be in Edmonton, Canada, which is just one province over. And I hit up Chris. I was like, hey, man, great coaching call yesterday. Want to do dinner? And so we actually got a few guys together, all entrepreneurs, and had an amazing dinner. And I wrestled and wrestled and wrestled, not the guys at dinner, but inside of myself. And it actually kind of turned into this mini mastermind where 3 very successful entrepreneurs, including Chris, were giving me feedback. And I was just so stuck on like, what is my message? And I kept looking to the outside. And in my mind, I'm like, well, am I going to put this on my business channel or my personal channel? And what logo is going to go in the bottom corner, and what's the content roadmap, and on and on and on. And if I were to really look at the foundation of what Chris helped me with, and he talks about this right on his YouTube channel, The Future. He says, like, if you had a friend who was basically like every time you talk to them, they were trying to get you to do something. They're trying to get you to join their network marketing company, or they're trying to get you to buy their shirts from their t-shirt company, or trying to get you to come to a real estate presentation because they're raising money or something. Like pretty quickly, you'd probably feel like, like I don't feel super enthusiastic about this friendship anymore, right? On the flip side, if that same friend was like, hey, look at what happened in the football game or the hockey game, and like, wow, hey, I'm going to go check out this cool new restaurant, or how about this cool new movie or whatever, like, and it's friendship first, if you will. And then after that, if it's like from time to time, they're like, oh my word, I just saw the best movie, you gotta go. You'd probably be curious, be like, oh wow, what is that? Like, tell me more. This sounds really, really interesting, right? So, when it comes to creating content, Chris really talks about how can we just be ourselves and share the things that are interesting to us, even has nothing to do with business. And then from there, and I don't know what the perfect ratio is, every seventh post, eighth post, something like that, there is a clear, obviously commercial message, not hidden in anything, not in a PS line. Like, it's like, hey, I just want to let you know I've got these services. Here's some results we've gotten, and if you're interested to know more, like, hit me up in the DMs, kind of thing. To just have like clear, honest, commercial intent. That's probably the best way to go. We're very forthcoming about that, and then it's back to just being buddies, right? Alex Hormozy had an interesting point. He talks about how branding, generally, whether it's personal branding or company branding, is really about pairs. So who do you align yourself with? It's like if the MLS aligns itself with David Beckham or Messi, right? All of a sudden, the MLS and Messi, they transfer that identity or that value. If Nike aligns itself with Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Tiger Woods, there's a bit of that halo effect where they both elevate because of the identity and reputation. And so, in that sense, it's kind of like, hey, what do you want to pair with? What do you want to be known to be aligned with, right? And again, that's less of a strategic out there question and more of a in here question. And so, for the longest time, I would only do things if there was a clear business case for them. I see so many cool things, so many opportunities all the time, that it's less about me being some kind of like red-blooded capitalist and a little bit of like a kind of a check and balance on myself. Because if I got involved in all the things that I think are cool, oh my God, I would get nothing done. It'd be 75 different directions from Sunday, right? And so Chris asked me, Tim, who are you? And one line that I really landed on was something like truth and mastery, something like the thrilling pursuit of excellence. How can I find true success? How can I become masterful? And within that, I started asking myself, okay, well, if truth and mastery is what's important to me, then how can I share that message in the most powerful way? And it dawned on me that 15 years ago, I attended an incredible workshop that was all about conscious communication and conscious living. And I'm not interested to start a business where I'm teaching seminars or flying communication experts in. Like, that's a whole new business, and I don't want to be a part of that. Like, I mean, I'll be a student at it. I'd love to attend, but I know what it takes to build a business, and I'm just like, oh man, like, I do not need more businesses. So it was kind of interesting upon receiving Chris's feedback to say, well, hold on. What if this was not a whole business? What if I just hosted a workshop and invited my friends and family? Maybe my clients, right? Maybe my prospects. A little bit unorthodox, but why not, right? And so it's been this interesting, let's say, I don't know, change of direction, or maybe becoming more inclusive in my life, is to say, hey, even if it's bad for business, what's good for my heart? well, even if there's no business case that I can connect the dots in the short term, what if I was just being myself? And what if I just kind of trusted? Now, if I think of my time as like a portfolio where it's like, oh, 50% of my money goes towards, an index fund and 20% goes towards more aggressive investments. And so it kind of like, just like our time as a portfolio, like a stock portfolio is like, I can't spend my whole day, every week going like, ooh, I'm just going to let my heart soar over here, right? Um, I, I don't have that problem, right? Some folks do, and they need to come the other way. But for me, it's actually that I've been so tight and said, well, no, I can't do anything unless it's in this ultra narrow circle. And it's kind of like with 5 or 10% of my time over the course of a year, I'm going to put it towards, it's almost like what 3M did, right? Where they just had, I forget what it was called, some kind of random time where like all staff members had to spend 5% of their time working on completely wacky projects, right? And that's how Post-it notes were invented. So in the same way, not that I'm looking to be ultra wacky, I might be wacky, but don't need to be wacky. It's like, what amount of time am I allowing myself to just kind of like be myself and let things flow? Now, I have no way of knowing how the dots will connect. In fact, like Steve Jobs says, we cannot connect the dots in life looking forward. We can only connect the dots looking backwards. What I will say, though, is I brought Dr. Wolf to Austin 6 months ago for the first time ever, when I allowed myself to act on Chris's advice and I allowed myself to do something that was kind of businessy. I'm promoting a workshop, but it's not part of my main business. I allowed myself to do that, and some of the magic that just came out of it was so beautiful. Like one person who attended the workshop, he was like, because of what I learned here, I had the first ever real conversation ever with my son. And he's 9 years old. And I was like, whoa. And he went on to say, at first I was sad that it had taken 9 years to have a real conversation with my son. I mean, the workshop was all about communication, so he's using the skills from the workshop. He said, at first I was sad that it took 9 years for my son and I to have a real conversation, but then it dawned on me, wait, we now get to live the next 60 years or something like that with great communication. So maybe we missed it on 9, but thankfully we caught it now and we have like our whole lives ahead of us. And I sat there listening and I was getting like goosebumps, right? And it was in that moment that I was like, yeah, there is no air quotes business case for me to be hosting this seminar. And I mean, I had to put up 10 grand to get the Dr. Wolf to come in and book the venue and all the other expenses related to it. And in fact, I air quotes lost money on that, but it dawned on me, oh my word, I lost money, a few $1,000 or something, but actually it was the greatest investments I could have made, because I'm investing into, yes, my friends, family, colleagues, and teammates to come join as they please. But actually I'm investing into myself. I am telling myself that who I am is enough and is right and can come out and can be fully expressed. Some people do that with paintings. Some people do it through music. I do it through businesses and workshops and events. So, if you're thinking about building your own personal brand, yes, there's an element that's going to be kind of like content strategy. Yes, there's going to be some mechanical questions around like, what is my name on Facebook or Instagram, or what's my YouTube channel name? But I think like, I would really take the Chris Do approach and say, what if we stripped all that away? And what if we simply said, if I had no title, if I had no business, what would I post about on the internet? And then just go do that. Hope that was helpful. I will see you tomorrow.